This video is going to explain to you how to write the InTASC standard descriptions that are a big part of your portfolio. So we're looking at the table of contents for the portfolio handbook. And as you'll recall, the portfolio is basically organized around the 10 InTASC standards. So if we go to page 3, you'll see the organization of your portfolio. Here it is. So you've got 4 sections, and each section contains 2 to 3 standards. So the learner and the learning section is obviously about the learner, and it has standards 1, 2, and 3. Content knowledge has standards 4 and 5. Instructional practice has standards 6, 7, and 8. Professional responsibility has standards 9 and 10. So what you're going to do over the course of the 3 years in the program is you're going to write a description explaining what each of these standards means. And then you're going to be selecting portfolio artifacts that show how you are able to meet these different standards. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to show you some tools and resources and things that you can use to help you write the descriptions that go into your portfolio. So if you go down to page 7 lists all of the 10 InTASC standard statements and what they mean. So here the one sentence, one or two, it looks like they're mostly one sentence, descriptions of each of the standards. And so that sort of gives you a general idea of the most important parts of that standard. So what I'm going to do for you, and what we'll do over the course of the 3 years in the program, is we're going to break these standards down a little bit further and talk about some elements involved in them and look for some examples that illustrate them. So if you go down to page 17, that has some of the different standards. Here we go. So they're set up so that you can see the different components of each standard so that you can write your descriptions. So for every single standard, you'll see the title, Standard 1, and then Learner Development, and then you'll see the statement itself, and then you'll see a summary statement followed by some bullets and boxes underneath, and that's for every single standard all the way from 1 through 10. Now all of that stuff is set up as an organizational tool for your writing. So before I get to how that works, I'm going to show you what a completed description looks like. So if you go down to page 33, it's after the components, you'll see an example of an InTASC standard description. This happens to be for number 1. So what you do, every time you write one of these, the header is always going to be the section. So standard 1 happens to be the learner and learning, so that's what you put. And then you put the standard number and its name. So if this were going to be standard 9, we would put here professional responsibility, and then we would put InTASC standard 9 and whatever its name is. Okay? And so that's always going to be your heading for these documents. And then the essay, of course, the description is made up of some different paragraphs, and I will explain to you what those paragraphs mean based on how they're set up in the different organizers. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at number 10. So if we go back here to InTASC standard number 10, I'm actually going to pull up some alternate notes so you can look at them. Okay. So mine are a little bit color-coded and have some other information in it for my personal use. But here is InTASC standard number 10. So I'm going to put these next to each other. Alright, so you'll notice that in my notes you still have the bolded statement, and then the summary statement is below it. and then they're both over here. So these two sentences combined become your introduction paragraph, and that's it. So you can copy those word for word and put them in as your introduction. So if I go back down to the sample, you'll see I started out with InTASC standard blank states that, and then I just copy and paste those two sentences. So there is that bolded statement that's here, and then followed by that sort of summary statement, which is here. It's already written for you, so all you have to do is put those in there word for word. Then what you do is you look to see how many bullets you have, these things here, and each of those bullets reflects a body paragraph for your description. So in task 10, which is the one we're working on, happens to have 3 main bullets. So here they are, and each one of those is going to be a paragraph. So for instance, with this first particular paragraph, I would use this as my topic sentence. Okay, so I'm going to turn this into my topic sentence. So I would say first, teachers must or teachers should maintain regular contact with parents regarding students' performance and events in school. After that, I want to indicate why it's important, what is something related to that in teaching, and then what is an actual real life example. And so usually what I do is I set it up so that you have 1 or 2 reasons why it's important, and then related teaching concepts and examples. So in your paragraph, you're going to start with your topic sentence, your statement of why it's important, and then that gets followed by a related teaching concept, and then whatever student example, real life example you happen to come up with. Whoops, sorry about that. That should be highlighted with a highlighter. There we go. And so then you'll go back and you'll do reason number 2 that it's important, followed by a related teaching concept, and then whatever classroom example you decide you want to put for, actually I'm going to do this in a different color, for reason number 2. So in your paragraph, you're organizing it so that topic sentence, everything that's the number 1 or that's in yellow, so why it's important, related concept, classroom example, second reason it's important, related concept, classroom example. And then that wraps up your first body paragraph. So then you would do the same thing for the second body paragraph. This becomes your topic sentence. You talk about item number 1, item number 1, item number 1, and then item number 2, number 2, and number 2. And then that would be your second body paragraph. And then the same thing for however many body paragraphs you happen to have for that particular standard. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 3. I think one of them might have 4, but that's a rarity. It's usually 2 or 3. So these should end up being about 2 pages in length when it's all said and done. So this one is just about 2 pages. So some other things that you want to do is after you do your body paragraphs, you need to have a conclusion. That conclusion is going to consist of 2 things. The first thing that it's going to consist of is a summary of the main ideas of the standard, and then it's going to also have a statement that sort of explains how those things and whatever they are and how doing those things can be helpful for students. So now we're looking back at the whole sample description again. So there are just a couple reminders about formatting and things that I want to mention. They should be double-spaced. You'll notice that this one is. And they should, for the most part, be 12-point font and use just normal, ordinary fonts. I happen to have used the italics and the bold here just to illustrate the parts that go in the introduction, but typically that would just be normal-looking font like everything else. You also want to make sure that you don't have lots of extra spaces at the top or in between paragraphs or things like that. Your heading should not be overly large. If you do want to include your name somewhere in the header or the footer, you can do that, but it should be very small. It shouldn't sort of overtake the page, so I'll show you very quickly how you do that. So I'm just going to open up Word. Here's a blank one, so if you go to Insert, and then down here you have footer and header, so I'll just do a header. You can hit the little arrow, and then you can select where you want it to go. So don't do anything fancy, you just want a normal blank one. Then you can just type in your name. And you can edit this however you want, so you can highlight it, you can make it a really tiny font, you can make it right aligned by using the alignment tool, you can keep it left aligned, so however you choose to do it is up to you. When you're finished, you just double click and then it will just always be there and it will always show up on all of your pages. So those are just some general things about finalizing and finishing up your InTASC standard descriptions.